Just disregard that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool as long as you can like splice me together saying like Heil Hitler or whatever. Just cut that out right there and be like, Marty is red brown. We have the evidence.
Yeah, that's gonna be the clip we post from the episode for the preview.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll be wrapping pretty early today.
Actually,
So I'm at Slavoid T.
All right, this is Shit Spouter 37.
This is Black.com build.
This is the Fed Post.
Actually, I think we need to get the Richard Spencer approval because he's now picked 2 presidents in a row. I think that's pretty incredible.
That's true. He's like the new mold bug, isn't he?
Oh, come on. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this shit.
He's the sage now.
Even as a joke, I don't want to hear this. Like, fuck that. Yo, fuck that guy. 2 elections.
Oh, yeah.
That's not enough for me.
Of course, fuck that guy. I mean, he's like disgusting, but I think it's just hilarious that he picked the 2 people he supported one. I mean,
That cuck, that fucking cuck. So the right must hate him now, right? It means he betrayed the right. He fucking cucked himself out to Biden, right? He was the inverse of
they
me.
seem pretty splintered too.
He's always been a fancy boy, right? He's like, I'm an irony Nazi, but before brunch, I don't know. The guy is just he manages to be both disgusting and he manages to both be like have a really disgusting politics and just be the smarmiest fancy boy that like you expect to be like some shitty all boys college wearing some like sweater vest or something. Like I don't know. Everything about him is repulsive.
He's trying to be a media darling.
He's somehow like a gentrified Nazi. He's like they found a way to make being a white nationalist normie shit.
Your culture got appropriated. That's fucked up, Slav. Now you know what it's like.
You're a country club fascist. It's bizarre.
He really is.
Bizarre.
Oh my god! Sorry for that rabbit trail or whatever.
Oh no, it's great. It's great.
No, yeah.
Any opportunity to make fun of right wingers on the show, I think.
We gotta jump on it.
Yeah, bring some well needed balance.
If you ever just need right wing fodder, just go to Ben Garrison's archive and just go through it. And it's like it's like every single possible neurosis a man can have, and he's just writing it out. And you're like, do you really want to tell the whole world this is who you are? And he's like, no, it's not about me. It's about Trump and AOC's boobies. Like the man is sick.
Brother's starving. He very, very clearly is showing his hand in everything he's making, and it's
all his pathology is just leaking out onto the page.
That's why we support President Trump. His beautiful abs, his abs that we love, and
the line.
I think the hair always looks so much. The hair always looks so much more intentional in a right wing cartoon than it does in real life, right?
Yeah, instead of like a shitty comb over that he's just been doing for 20 years because he couldn't figure out anything else.
Right. It's like a majestic dollop as opposed to the kind of situation you described.
Yeah, I mean that's why I stick to Stone Toss, and I mean, honestly I feel like Ben Garrison he's like the inverse of Eli Valley. He's like,
oh my god,
romanticizing him. Like the inverse of that is the way Eli makes him like fucking demonic and like monstrous. Like, yo, chill the fuck out. Like, relax. Like, it's not evil.
That's just
every other thing that Eli Valley says is like it's 0 to cattle cars in 2 seconds.
Mad quick. So yo, chill out.
He's in a constant state of having just finished Schindler's List or something. It's kind of insane.
Oh my god, these fucking people. Yeah. Anyways, but I was saying like the election night stream with the good old boys. I was like, ours kind of ended. Like we were getting sauce. It kind of ended, and then I just was like, I might as well hop on, see if I can get on the other stream. It was pretty good. But yeah, I was being very. Like you were saying, I was trying to be cautious because I was like, I can't enjoy this too much because I know,
It's very CRK. This happens every single election. Somebody looks like he's about to win, and then they stop the vote tallies for several hours, and then it immediately reverses in every single state that they stop the vote tallies in. This has happened my entire life. I can't even remember the last election it didn't happen. Don't ask me for specifics.
Yeah,
this is very, very normal.
Yeah, that is the funniest thing of this whole thing of like all over Twitter, just you, and I'm just like always saying like, yeah, it's very normal. Everything is super exceedingly normal. This happens all the fuck time. All this shit happens all the time.
What I love is like these leftoids who are like, they believe in their heart that the CIA and maybe the Clinton crime family killed Jeffrey Epstein. The government killed JFK. The Bernie had 2016 stolen from him, and the Iowa election in 2020. There's all of these conspiracies. You can't get away from it. But the 2020 election, there were no conspiracy there. That's completely normal. I can't remember the last time this didn't happen. We all remember when we go to bed, we think there's one president, and when we wake up and there's another one. This is normal.
4 a.m. they find 100% batch of one candidate that just narrowly swings it. Like Silicon Valley censors everybody saying anything against it. That happens all the time. That shit happens this happened last election, the one before that, the one before that. We all remember.
It can only be considered cheating if it happens to someone that I like, that I find sympathetic, because my slave morality dictates that if someone's the victim of cheating, they have to be good in some way.
Yes,
and Trump is obviously bad, so there's no cheating. By comparison, Joe is a saint.
Well, plus, you forgot that Trump also got into office with the help of the Russians, right? So I mean, it's basically a makeup call.
Yeah, so people who this is something that really worries me. We now have 2 elections back to back where basically half of the electorate, not half, so I'll say 30% of the country doesn't accept the election as legitimate. In 2016, the super libs were like, well, this is the Russians. This isn't a legitimate election. Right. Vladimir Putin used a voodoo doll and got Donald Trump elected. And now what we're going to have, because I've talked to right-wing friends, they're like, yeah, this is clearly bogus. Look at what happened in Pennsylvania and in Georgia with all of the ballots. We don't believe it. So now I don't know how the country comes back from just thoroughly delegitimizing the election process. And it doesn't. Yeah. And it's probably going to get worse because now the Democrats are going to be like, okay, now that we're in charge on a national level, we'll just have mail-in ballots every single time. And there is a reason that most countries don't have free mail-in ballots because it's really hard to count and say that everything is on the up and up. It's much easier to do that in person. If you want to have, it's just dangerous, I think.
The New York Times had a piece in 2012 about how they called it granny farming. They said it's full of fucking fraud. The New York Times said that. It's out there. It's like,
CRK, what's 2012? I've never heard of this year. That's 1 year before, more than 1 year before the president. I've never heard of this.
That's when everything ended. You remember the Mayans, all that.
I remember 2019. That's about it.
I mean, people were still owning slaves at that point, so I don't even know.
The 1619 project, the 2012 project.
As a quick side note,
wait, because you talking about Hillary?
As a quick side note, because we're talking about like different ways of voting, would online digital forms of voting be considered more secure?
Oh my God, no. Sorry, I worked in software for a second, and I feel like everyone who's worked in software is like, don't get computers involved in anything that you want to be secure.
Right.
Partially because a lot of them are easy to hack into. Not easy, but to hack into a computer, you just need that computer is connected to the internet and someone who knows the exploit. To hack into a building, you've got to have a person get in there. So there's just a different kind of bottleneck when something is physical and in person. And the other problem is keeping records, right? So records on a computer can be tampered with in ways that make it hard to recover. It's harder to do that with paper. Like if you have laws that you must keep all all the paper around. Maybe you can just burn the envelopes the ballots come in. This isn't referencing anything that happened, but
or burst a pipe.
Yeah, or burst a pipe. But like if you have a physical trail, it's harder to tamper with than if it's just zeros and ones on the computer. So no, I'm against online voting 100%.
Okay, yeah, because I remember listening to discussions about that, and it just seems, I don't know, it seems interesting in this context.
God, yeah, don't do that, please.
No, I would never trust that shit.
Yeah, well, it's just funny, like all the Russiagate hacking shit just like disappeared, and now people are bringing this up as like, well, if you think there's any fraud or anything funny about this election, you're pretty much like the libs talking about Russiagate. It's the weirdest comparison to me.
I'm a leftist. I believe 9/11 was an inside job. I believe that the government killed Jeffrey Epstein. I believe that there is a conspiracy, maybe for aliens. I don't know. I listen to my conspiracy podcasts. But this election, man, this was pure. This was clean. Well, I mean, it's interesting what they allow themselves to believe in.
Well, and the other thing is, the Russiagate thing came from the media, right? That came from them. This
I mean, Rachel Maddow was on air.
Yeah, they pumped it for like 3 years. So I mean, like, if like you have to know that has to be different. Like, that's not a complete comparison because one came from them, came from the elite media, and the other is being dismissed by them. That's completely different. I mean, just along power dynamics, that has to be different. I mean,
it's crazy making, right? Like, no, right wingers should have. I mean, fuck, maybe they did, and I didn't pay attention. But like the strategy right now of just like getting teary eyed and being like, oh, I thought Trump was gonna attack our democracy, but I didn't know it was gonna hurt so bad. Like. They should have done that during Russiagate, right?
Yeah, Stephen Colbert crying, yeah.
Oh god, that was disgusting. I couldn't even watch it.
Yeah. It was
I mean, it's fucking scumbag shit. But like,
these people are fucking sick.
Complete fucking sickos. But like, I mean, that's like prime like psycho girlfriend shit, right? like you cheats on you and then cries and it's like, I can't believe you're doing this to our relationship.
That conspiracy comparison thing is really like the thing that's been driving me the most insane. It's just like all the whole like, and I was joking about this before, like pouring through every detail of Epstein and fucking 9/11 and JFK. But when anything comes up fishy about COVID or this election, anything at all, then it's like, no, what are you talking about? You sound crazy. Tinfoil hat shit. It's just funny that like you can only critique.
You gotta wait a few years to where it's no longer relevant, and then you can come out with whatever fake you want.
Yeah, I mean, you believe the conspiracy theories. You believe the conspiracy theories that don't make people mad at you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's basically, and it's just a cope, dude. Like the amount of people that got super into like 20th century fucking conspiracy theories like right after Super Tuesday was insane. You know what I mean? Like you just get super into it, and you're kind of just choosing to sit at the kids' table because it's for the most part like fairly irrelevant to like modern politics. I mean, I don't want to say it's completely irrelevant, but like you're choosing to focus on like declassifying the JFK assassination as opposed to like what's happening right in front of everyone.
Well, the only thing in which I think it is relevant to the present is it's really good for people to get into their heads that the American government is not run by the people you elect. There is, in fact, a deep state. They mostly are in Northern Virginia. And those people, their votes really matter. Even if the people that they want to be elected aren't elected, then they go to the people who are elected and say, okay, here's what you're going to do. Here's the system that we have set up. And even when you're gone, I'm going to be sitting in my office in Langley doing just fine. And the only president who has ever tried to take them on, and at least rhetorically, has been Trump. And he didn't do shit about it. He would just like tweet, the FBI, they're very mean to me. They're very mean. So is the CIA. They're the worst. And even that like drove them fucking bananas. Like only now is he actually trying to fire in them because he's pissed and back in the corner. But he didn't do shit about it for years and years. And but just him saying shit online about these people was enough to like get every single spook on CNN saying our democracy is at stake. No, your control of government is at stake.
Like his whole thing of saying shit that doesn't really toe the line like reveals a little bit of the like illegitimacy of the system in itself, and they can't have
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think he did make an enemy of them. I guess like you're saying, at least rhetorically. But I mean, him firing everybody. I mean, it's you can't fire the blob, right? They'll just replace themselves. It doesn't really matter, right? It's just a short-term performative thing, I guess. But like, I mean, it's gonna be a long time before we get anybody who's close to that, who's even remotely close to being like that. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a while. But
I don't know. Like, I think politics is going to be wide open for a moment, and we're going to have to see. I think the Democrats have just become the party of the managerial class. I changed my Twitter avatar to that. Like, we can do that later, champ, chief lady, for a second. And I think she is sort of the face of the future Democratic Party. So, like, this is really coddled, upper class, a young person who's just like really believes in their soul in expertise. They fucking love science. I've been on this tear about fucking loving science because that was just the cry of like, I don't want democratic controls. I don't want you to have a say. Just shut up and listen to the experts. And if you don't shut up and listen to the experts,
something like that recently, actually.
What?
Who did?
Fauci did. He came out and he was like, America's got like a strong backbone of independent spirit, but now it's time to shut up and do as you're told.
Oh yeah, I saw that. And Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, released a video on Twitter where she's like having a bad dream to accept science is back, baby. So like all this, you should watch it. It's cringe.
Yeah, and Lori Lightfoot's the fucking savior with the science. That fucking retard.
Oh well, and she's a liar too, because that leaked call when she and everyone else on the Chicago City Council was shitting their pants over their city being on fire. They were like, we can't do anything about this. We can't send the police out because they're overstressed. And then she turns around and it's like, I fucking love science. Do you fucking love science? Stay indoors. Don't go to Thanksgiving. It's just, all of this is just code for like, let the managers rule.
Well,
Shut the fuck
exactly.
up. Yeah.
Exactly. And it is hilarious that like there's this photo of Pelosi, of this article of Pelosi, like trying to have like a dinner at Congress that's like for Thanksgiving. Like, oh, the physician checked it out. The expert said it's okay, so we can do this. And like her at the salon without the mask in San Francisco or whatever. Like they're doing all this and they had those huge fucking celebrations in the street, like mass celebrations for Trump being out. The BLM. We don't have to
the virus can't attack you when you are protesting Trump. Like that is the science. I'm not telling you that. The science is telling you that. And I fucking love science.
Right.
So I know when I can go out without the mask and when I have to wear it. And you better fucking wear the mask and not go to Thanksgiving. Grandma, you're just alone for the rest of your life. Believe the science. Trust the science.
Well, first of all, Grandma's a fucking white supremacist anyways. So good fucking
you should have cut her out of your life long ago. She voted for Trump in 2016.
And best decision I ever made was walking into Chaz, where I immediately got the first rung of vaccination for COVID, thankfully. So I'm immune now.
Are you in Seattle, Soph?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I had friends who were not that far from Chaz's job. And I love that they did this and then they immediately killed 2 black kids who drove it.
not even that, executed them.
Yeah.
Like straight up gun to head execution. It was pretty terrible. Yeah, one of my good buddies like lives on Capitol Hill. And so it's been a weird year for him. He was just hearing the nightmare tones of Chaz at night for a few weeks, and now it's just been night after night of like people protesting and lighting off Roman candles and shit. It's goofy. It's goofy. It's like a little stage to do your little public play.
And the city council let them do this, which is the same thing. The chief of police resigned.
Yes, a member of city council let them into city hall.
Yeah, Kshama Sawant should be like tried. Yeah, Sawant should be tried for like treason. I'm not even joking. Like I hate that.
100%. Oh well, she also got busted laundering money recently. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I mean the dream of honestly, it's actually kind of a great opportunity to just kind of like black pill people on like trademarked modern socialism, right? To just be like, look at how it's going in Seattle, buddy.
Well, modern socialism is, I think a lot of things that we see about the modern socialism movement come from the class position of the people involved. They all have college degrees. They're all people looking to be managers. They're not millionaires. They do not own capital, but they are at the stratum of society that manages the people who do the labor that produces the value the capital extracts. So they are like the loyal capital sort of film between the owners and the laborers. And they imagine that they are like the laborers because, hey, I don't own this. I just tell you what to do and get paid by the boss for telling you what to do. This is what all of the advanced degree people are for. That's what coders are for. Coders sell management software to companies that produce shit. So like what's happened with socialism is this class of people who are managers have found a program that suits their class interest, which is woke shit. It's cancel my college tuition. I was talking with someone on Twitter who was anti-Bernie in 2020, even though she loved him in 2016. She's like, yeah, in 2016, he talked about $15 minimum wage, all of this worker shit. Now it's all about immigration and canceling college debt. I don't have any college debt because I didn't go to college, like 2/3 of the country. Right. So like this socialism shit, what it is now, and I don't really care about true socialism or any of that. Like what that label is now is this managerial stratum that wants to increase its own position at the expense of the people above it, who are the actual owners, and also at the expense of the people below them who they manage, who are all racists and fascists. And it's good that they don't get to decide what the company does,
right? Well, you
or
guys
what the country does
on what's left about the lump in PMC and how that education and college for all and Medicare for all were sort of priority because they're in their class interest as a priority, as opposed to the underclass priorities.
Right. Yeah, like the underclass wants jobs. They want decent paying jobs. They want an increased wage. And you'll notice that Bernie, maybe in his stump speeches, but all the people around him shifted to the concerns of the educated managerial class in 2020.
Yeah. Well, and I think that this is, I think that like a kind of like technocratic view of just how the world should be run and everything is like this really, really important bedrock to this whole brand of politics. Because just like talking to like normies I know around the area and everything, and this especially springs out of people that are especially like concerned with the environment and everything, is just like, if we can do everything we can to make it so, I mean, it's basically the Elizabeth Warren thing, right? If we can do everything we can to empower like experts to be in these fields and just get smart people in these positions, that's gonna, solve the problems. And what that actually, and maybe I'm getting like a little specific here, but like one really common thing in this area is homelessness, right? And like recently, this task force was put together in Seattle, multi-million-dollar thing. It's going to last 2 months, and it's basically just going to be some like social workers going to camps and just gathering some data, right? That's basically it. And we've had this happen time and time and time again, and nothing actually really happens. And so it kind of it basically just becomes this like make work bullshit thing, excluding like actual solutions. This make work bullshit, and there's just this kind of like idea that like, well, like we can just keep propping up the smart people, and this will solve something.
If we count how many homeless people there are enough times with the right person counting with the best math, we can figure it out.
No. You need to put it in the right Excel spreadsheet. You don't even understand Microsoft Access, so I don't know how you could solve this problem.
Do you even gather data, bro?
I was actually talking with a buddy back to Seattle, who lives not very far from Seattle. This was a while back, and he was talking about there was the city council passed something where they took away from police officers the ability to have discretion in who they fined for not having a ticket on the light rail.
Yep.
Because the idea was that this was giving them leeway increased racism, so they would let white people off and fine black people more often. All right, so they implemented that new policy for a year, and the number of people who were black and Latino who got tickets went up. And the reason is that they took away from the police officers' discretion, and what they had been doing was like, okay, I know this guy's poor, he needs to get to his work. I'll let you off this time, but just be careful next time. And once they took away that discretion, they couldn't do it more. So like this like woke anti-racist thing actually ended up giving more city fines to more people of color in Seattle, because it was just some like consultant person who's like, well, no, we all know the police are racist, so we need to take away that discretion from them. And it like fucking made the situation worse.
Right. It can't possibly have anything to do with the fact that like, you know, the numbers have to be chalked up to, you know, individual bigotry as opposed to, you know, a realistic.
Exactly. Yeah, it can't be that the black people in Seattle tend to be poor and were pushed out by gentrification and live in Tacoma and have to commute. Like that can't be the reason. It has to be like the individual cops being bad. Right.
Well, and at the center of that too, again, is like just like the assumption that like a good, honest person would never break the law to begin with, right? And so like if we're really enforcing it correctly and you know clamping down on this, we're going to see the outcomes we want. And you know, obviously that isn't the case, and maybe it's a little bit more complicated than, you know, a character defect in the people breaking the law.
Yeah.
Well, just wait until Queen Kamala gets in there. She's gonna. We'll see what the liberal carceral state really looks like.
Yeah, I was wondering because like Obama being president, the first black president, like that was supposed to be a victory for black people, and he didn't do anything for black people. Maybe made it worse.
Didn't black wealth go down during his tenure?
I'm sure he just accelerated. He just accelerated, you know, capital, you know, consolidation. But like, you know, as far as Kamala being in there, I wonder if there will be a contradiction heightened by that, by her, like, you know, having a record of hurting black people. But of course not. Of course not. If based on Obama, I don't think it will. I don't think it'll change anything.
She'll work out a deal with Uber and all the other big like transportation gig economy apps to give 15% off rides for black people, and then it'll be like great.
Right. Exactly. I think, and I just think like the amount of like hammering out that they've been doing to the ideological framework to give themselves a little bit of leniency in this way is like been pretty significant in the last few years, like after Obama. And so I think like just the amount of armor that Kamala Harris has to just bounce these kinds of things off her is
her scales are pretty strong.
I mean that
she's got a +5 armor rating. She's not gonna get hit.
I mean, President Kamala is the real coup. Like didn't she drop out before votes were even cast?
Yep.
So she has gotten 0 votes. She was just appointed by Hillary Clinton. After Hillary Clinton lost, she said, I don't like Bernie, but I do like Kamala. And like she basically appointed Kamala her successor.
And she had all the Clinton staffers.
Yeah, she's gonna be president because the fucking Dems are run like a mafia. And she had the right connections. And this woman is fucking terrifying. Her office in California fought not to release people who had been found innocent.
Yep.
Like they delayed it for like 2 years. And there's more than one case of this. And when the ninth court, I think it must have been the ninth court, told California to release a bunch of inmates because there were overcrowding and it counted as cruel and unusual punishment, her office also fought that. And one of their reasons was, well, who is going to fight the forest fires in California if we let these people go? Like, I'm not making this shit up. Like, that woman is fucking terrifying. She's an authoritarian nightmare.
You're one of the few people I know that was like discussing that there might be a coup or rigging of some sort. And like, I remember we were talking like a month or so ago about how, you know, if she comes in, and Biden's obviously a transitionary, he said it himself, he's the Harris administration, right? If she comes in and she did that poorly in the primary, I mean, I don't know what's more authoritarian than that, than her being the fucking president with that little mandate. Like, it's especially all the talk they have now of mandate and popular vote for Biden or whatever. What mandate is there behind her? There is no mandate. It's like, it's amazing. It's fucking amazing.
Well, the mandate of the right side of history. All right.
Yeah,
the mandate of heaven.
Yeah.
Right.
Shit. Holy shit. That's pretty good. And like the inmates fighting forest fires. Like, it's just such a great.
That's literally why Kamala, when like what Marty was just talking about, how she petitioned to keep like low-level nonviolent offenders locked up longer. She literally said in a memo so that we have enough people to fight fucking fires, enough inmates for the forest fires. So I mean, at least she's keeping the environment in mind here. She's being it's going to be good for us overall. So just like overlook the fact that she's keeping these poor people locked up forever.
Yeah, I should stop. I should stop putting up these purity tests, as a high maintenance lefty.
Maybe we can do that later when there's not a fucking fascist in the White House. When there's not a fucking fascist in the White House, maybe we can do that later, champ.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
We're in hell.
It's a perfect example of environmental issues generally, right? Which is just like this little capsule form to easy to digest for voters to just stop thinking about having any kind of semblance of values or just any kind of values that we're actually sticking to or looking out for your own self-interest, because we have this crisis and it's not falsifiable. And what we're going to do, well, first of all, we're going to need to enslave some folks. Then your quality of life is going to go down. And I mean, this is still entirely, my view of a lot of the id bullshit we're seeing is well, we're going to make politics more about how we can uplift black trans femmes. And so your quality of life is going to go down, but you won them an earned income tax credit. And so you won't be paying attention to that.
Oh, Slav, it's not even black trans femmes. Black is about to be obliterated as a category. You already see this in Nicole Hannah-Jones, where she said
that's very true.
Thing about some people aren't. We all know who is and isn't politically black. So this is all transitory. I was saying this earlier to some buddies just this evening that the gay id poll stuff was just a stepping stone to being able to declare yourself queer or whatever. Because what even the fuck does queer mean? It means whatever you want it to. And there's an issue here with gay, unless you are publicly in a marriage to someone of the same sex, people kind of have to take your word that you are or aren't gay. And that was a stepping stone now to you can just declare whatever you are. So you can declare yourself to be queer and a person of color. We're seeing people get canceled for this, but I think that we're going to move past that. And you can there will be a board of Hannah Nicole Jones, Yanga Yamada Taylor, and Chieftainess Elizabeth Warren. And they can decide if you are really a person of color. They can bestow and take away that label. It's really useful to have this sort of fungible category. And I think we're just in the transition to getting to the state where it's completely detached from material reality.
Yeah, we might rehab
struggle sessions.
Yeah, maybe we'll rehab dolazol. Wasn't that you or somebody was saying that's gonna Bog maybe was saying that's gonna happen? We'll get the transracial thing. We'll get all that shit popping off.
I've been saying for years that racial dolazol is the future, and I should go back and see if I can find out my tweets. I would keep track of politicians who did this. In the 2020 Democratic primary, there were two. There was Beto O'Rourke, and
Mi Beto O'Rourke.
Hola, me llamo Beto O'Rourke.
Remember at the debate when he just started speaking Spanish and Cory Booker's eyes popped out of his head. He's like, oh, fuck. I had a friend that was I had a friend that was a Spanish friend that was like, well, I actually kind of like that. I was like, yo, dude, are you retarded? What the that shit fucking pandering as a motherfucker.
And there's some politician, I should go back and find it, some politician in Hawaii who was white and had a group of people and said I've always considered myself Asian. It was some Asian. Considered myself spiritually Asian. So I mean that shit is coming, and that's going to be your path out. If whiteness is verboten in certain democratic spaces at the moment, you can just define yourself out of that. That queer is a stepping stone to this. Yeah. You can just define away your sin, and all this shit is going to start meaning nothing. And the sooner you can get to that point, the better.
It was you, Marty, right? It was you who said that, right?
I was one of the people. I don't know if I was the person who noticed.
Right, you were one of them. Right.
Well, I think the clear takeaway, Marty, is that your gay magic is wearing off. So you're going to need to rebrand as a POC soon. CRK, when we start a war with China, you're probably going to need to transition to full Asian. Black man is.
Whose side are you on, CRK?
Play the long game, Marty. Play the long game. Get in now.
And COH will go full Bannon and just be antagonistic towards the Manchurian candidate, sleeper cell agent.
No, I really could see this shit happening, the whole "you ain't black Jack" shit, like that.
Cubans not being. It's going to get more intense. Yeah.
Yeah. I really could see that happening. That'd be fucking psychotic. I really could see that happening.
It's funny how, like I remember being in college and like, you know, I was like, you know, in the humanities, God help my soul. And so like I'm, you know, being having a lot of this shit shoveled at me and just generally thinking like, man, like it's crazy how you guys can justify some really stupid shit just by seemingly overthinking a lot of things that, you know, seemed fairly, I mean, to be honest, seemed fairly fine under just like the original kind of liberal lens that we had in the 90s or something like that. And now as things progress, it becomes even more nakedly just like it becomes clearer and clearer that it's just like a political cudgel. And there seems to be less effort paid to like hiding that fact.
Right.
You know,
that's why I want to ask Marty, like, what do you think about like this whole thing now after the election where the left is like pivoting back to, you know, caring about austerity and war and trade and all these things?
Oh, they don't give a shit.
We all know they didn't give a shit. I mean, again, like I knew that they would do this. I knew they'd be cheering on Biden winning. I knew that they would.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you're anti-war, then you should have voted for Trump. Like,
right. And now they're saying,
and this is the thing that I can't get with people. Like, because just calling Trump better on war than Biden doesn't mean you're like MAGA. I love my lion Trump.
Of course,
like
not.
You live in a shitty world, and you have like an insane narcissist who's lazy and is not a fan of doing work. War is work, and then you have the fucking ghouls who run the CIA, who get behind a candidate. Like, I'm sorry, one of these people is more likely to get the U.S. involved in some like civilian massacring, region destabilizing war than the other.
Of course, yeah. No, that's the thing. All these contradictions of like them pretending to be against austerity, against war, against trade, and then you know the conspiracy left, how they distrust all the deep state and all that, but now they do like, and this race reductionism thing, all this race reductionism shit, where they say, you know, well that clearly proves to be empty because it's a moving target. It's malleable.
Yes.
So all these contradictions that just like now more than ever are like, I mean, you know, if you were aware, you were aware. We all knew this, but like now they're like so brazen in your face right now. I mean, do you think that will, I don't know, will that change anything? Can they just get away with that and we just keep moving and forget it and, you know, like nothing happened? Is that?
Oh my God. I mean, I hope not, but I mean, I've never seen.
Do you think
in
people
my
will
life,
like snap out of that? I mean, do you think people will be like?
I don't think people on the left will snap out of it because it is in their class interest to keep supporting this. Like they are the parasites who live off of the labor of people who work underneath them. So it makes sense for them to align with this group. I think. The question really is, to me, if the actual laborers can force a change in the politics of the Republican Party, and I'm not rosy about that, but like that is the only possibility that they have, because I think the Democrats they are now solidly the party of the CIA, of the managerial class, and of tech.
Oh yeah.
Like that battle is over, and all of these motherfuckers who keep saying like, well, guys, we just got to stay in and push them left in the next primary. They're cucks. They're pathetic. Let it go. You've lost. They're like the Japanese soldier fighting World War II in the Philippines in 1975. Like,
with what leverage? What leverage that you gave up after you did everything they wanted? You gave up everything and you conceded completely without asking for anything. What leverage do you have?
But in their world, that's how it works. If you follow all the rules, good shit just happens to you.
Right.
I'm gonna perform seppuku when Joe Biden doesn't free the kids in cages.
Because it's all performative. I mean, that's the thing. Like I don't expect them to snap out of it, but I just feel like I don't know. It's very revealing how. Well, I just start to wonder, why was I debating these people ever? Why was I ever arguing with any of these people? They don't believe in anything. They clearly don't have any convictions about anything. Why was I arguing with them about jack shit about any of this stuff? I mean they've revealed they don't believe in anything. It's right there.
What I worry about a lot is how to actually fight like the stranglehold that the libs have of tech and the media. So I know some people who think that it's not a big deal. They're actually quite weak. I don't think that's true. Like, so in the Bellows article that I wrote, I claimed that this cultural revolution moment, which was what I called the BLM rioting, was really about returning capital to power, because Trump had like pumped the brakes on it. I mean, he didn't and he pumped the brakes. He didn't do that. He just took his foot off the gas.
Exactly.
And that was intolerable to them. Like you can look at all of these companies that were screaming about the tariffs with China. It wasn't that they became insolvent. It's that the rate of the increase of their profit slowed down a little bit, and that was just unacceptable.
So you're MAGA, so you're pro-Trump, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What I'm saying is that I hate Mexicans. And,
yeah.
So that's saying Trump get out of that.
Yeah, he's an underclass hero, basically. I just didn't get why they kept straw manning that way. It's like, dude, obviously I know he's not. I know that he's deterring. I'm being measured about it, and so are you. Like he's deterring them. I mean, that's it. Like that's whatever that is meaningful for itself. Out for a sec. Oh yeah, I was just saying like the straw manning of being like, oh, you think he's like an underclass hero? He's fighting against global capital. It's like he's deterring them. We all know he's slightly deterring them. I mean, that's meaningful for itself. Like there's no way to straw man that.
Although the one positive that I can see is that I think Trump was a barrier for expanding that coalition, just because he is so obviously like a racist. Like when he got in, when he tried to do the Islamic ban, when he tried to do he clearly has sort of like personal aversion to like Mexicans on some level from how he's talked about it. Like that really limits any kind of larger working class coalition, just because like that's so fucking untasteful. And like him having Diamond and Silk, who I unironically love Diamond Silk, but he has them come out and do this like minstrel show, and he's like, "Don't I love the black folks? They're amazing." So I think that limits it, and maybe it opens up a little more space for a larger coalition of people who aren't in the fucking tech managerial class. But I don't know, because I mean, you still have all of these fucking monsters like Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell had to woke up with an erection when it was called for Biden, because then he gets to push all of his horrible bipartisan Social Security cuts, like all of these fucking miserable deals.
Right.
That Trump, again, not out of any love for the working class, but he just pumped the brakes on this by being such a force for chaos.
Yeah,
and we're going to go back to bipartisan consensus now.
Right. And you mentioned in your article that, it's out of it's narcissism. Obviously, it's like, but at least he has a base. At least there's a base that he's held accountable to and tries to appease. Who is the base of these fucking reptiles, these Bush Clinton people? They have no base. Their base is fucking...
Yeah, they do. Their base is the CIA, it's Microsoft, it's Amazon. Exactly. They do have a base.
It's top of the pyramid. And it's all those, rich retired boomers living on golf courses in Arizona.
And all the people that can influence subtly through control of the media and through control of these social media and tech.
And that right there, I think, is going to be like that last group that you mentioned, COH. I think it's going to be a big swing as things continue to deteriorate. And I mean, the housing market in cities is about to go tits up, right? And I think that just as shit gets worse,
the housing market does not matter to tech. Like real estate is really Trump's base, because these are people who have to have high enough wages of people inside of the nation in order to extract from them through rent. Whereas tech companies, all they need is a whole bunch of people getting low wages in China that they can extract that labor from and sell to places like the US and like Europe that will pay a high premium for this production. I don't know if y'all want me to go through this, but when I was prepping for this and going back through my article, I was like, maybe I should go back and see what the donations were for companies during the BLM riots. And guys, it is billions of dollars went to NGOs that are just unaccountable. And a bunch of these companies didn't even tell you what they donated to. Apple donated $100 million to anti-racist groups. Which ones? Fuck if I know. Bank of America promised $1 billion for programs on helping communities of color. Which ones? Don't know. I don't know.
Only a racist would look twice. You know what I mean? Only a racist would really dig into that and be like, "What's that for? What's that about?" You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, man. They're donating to racial equality. You should just shut up and be happy. happy about it.
Come on, Marty.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? I don't know. I hate this like charity shit. I'd rather people actually invest in capital and communities, because that's the only thing that can, like, the technology of capitalism is that you take extracted labor and you reinvest it. And that is the only way that you can generate wealth inside of the system on a longer term. And like socialism, the original idea of it was we will seize control of this capital investment scheme. But a lot of these NGOs and these private charities, they aren't invested in creating capital ownership in these communities that they help. They sort of create this dependency, meanwhile skimming a huge amount off for themselves. Do any of y'all remember the scandal during Hurricane Katrina where the Red Cross raised all this money and someone looked into it and like 3% of it went to New Orleans?
No, that happened with the jail the bailout fund, the jail bail fund in Minnesota, where they found out that like only $100K of like millions of dollars was actually going to the bail. So
yeah, it just goes to these
same shit.
It just goes to these managers who run these nonprofits who operate under looser government regulations than companies.
Yeah, it's make-work shit, gang shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of that money just goes to create 1 million Robin DiAngelos. Like that's what it's for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I think, but yeah, I think, yeah. Well, I think we agree about with like the BLM thing. I think, yeah, as far as like what your article was talking about in terms of, the connection to China and, the whole Trump basically taking his foot off the gas for capital consolidation globally. I think the funny thing now that COH was pointing out was the RCEP, where now they've got a new trade agreement that's going on.
Yeah. We're going to get TPP too. TPP squared, guys.
So that happened just today, right, COH?
Yeah, this morning. So, I mean, it's been in talks for quite some time, but it's actually the largest free trade agreement that's ever taken place.
Yes.
In history. And so it's the coalition between like all the United Southeast Asian nations, which is like ASEAN, ASE.
Yeah, ASEAN.
Those 10 nations plus like China, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and it was supposed to be India, but India just walked out actually, and they've not come back to the table. But it covers a third of the world's population and over 2.2 billion people.
Holy fuck.
And so that was signed this morning, and that's essentially China jockeying for like position to cement their like lead in global trade before the change of power here, theoretically, if it goes to Biden, because Biden is going to be looking to put us back into the CPTPP, which is called the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. They changed it and made it sound a little better.
Are you serious? You're not bullshitting me with the name.
No, I'm not bullshitting you at all. Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's what they rebranded it as, so that now when Biden comes in office, he can try to shove us back in there. But the issue is that agreement is a larger and more encompassing agreement than this CPTPP or the original TPP was. We're going to be starting, as far as global trade goes, behind the ball with Biden, in the mind of Biden and all of the technocrats here.
You're sounding kind of racist, COH. I mean, this sounds like racism. Like if you think that's like a bad thing, I don't know about that.
I don't like this.
I've noticed this that like imperialism is now coded in anti-racism.
Right,
like,
exactly.
If you ever read Angela Nagle's article, I think it was in American Affairs, about open borders, and she cites this statistic in there, which I just found really striking, which is that there are more Ethiopian doctors in the city of Chicago than in the country of Ethiopia. Because what we do is that we like destabilize these regions of the world, and then we come back for seconds, which is like, okay, all of the talented people who have been trained and can like maybe help this country get back on its feet, we're going to take them too. And a lot of this free trade, free immigration stuff is about this like second wave of imperialism. We're like, okay, we fucked you over Honduras a couple times. Now we're going to take all your talented people as well.
It's like the Farm League
and leave you fucking nothing.
It is like the farm leagues. It's Ethiopia is Seattle and the Mariners, and we're New York and the Yankees.
Exactly.
The brain drain. Yeah. No, that is the new soft colonialism or the imperialism. It's like the way to do it in a more civil way that isn't as abhorrent.
Well, and that's what China does so fucking well, because China, instead of like just blatantly destabilizing regions like we do with our lovely like Black Ops operations, they go in there and they try to like build roads and such, like in order to kind of, in a way, they invest in the communities in a better and more like humanitarian kind of way up front,
right?
So they can
like Africa
trade stronger from the back end. Like, and that's what we're seeing like all over Southeast Asia.
But COH, what they also do is they do it on loan. So they're like, okay, we're gonna build this, and here's the interest rate, and then when the underdeveloped country can't pay the interest rate, then the control of that infrastructure reverts back to the Chinese company that made it. So they're all on loans. They ain't free. And so what happens is they build this, the country gets to enjoy it for a little while, and then they can't pay back the exorbitant loan. And then it reverts back to Chinese control. This has happened with many, many buildings that have been built in Africa. They're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing with doctors. There's tons of African doctors in China, partially because I think they're preparing for they have a population bomb that's going to look like Japan, that's going to go off in the next few decades. So I think that's part of the reason why they have so many African doctors in the hospitals there. But I mean, it's the same shit. It's the same like soft imperialism 2.0 stuff.
Yeah, it's some gang shit, and that's why they're better at it than we are, than the U.S. is, because that's way more long lasting, and that's I mean, it's smarter in the long term, especially for One Belt One Road. I mean, they're setting up infrastructure everywhere. I mean, that's really the move to do. I mean, that's probably why they'll have it in a decade or two. They'll probably have global supremacy that way. But I mean, I don't know if Biden being elected now, that means we're probably getting back in. And I just remember, I don't know if you guys remember, Biden was like trying to go at China a little bit. There was like a brief moment during the election where he was like trying to be tough on China, trying to like steal Trump's thunder that way. Yeah,
that's all going to be walked back. Because the companies to which he's beholden need that Chinese laboring class in order to make money. And so that means that they need as much free trade as possible, as much access to that labor market in order to extract for chips and iPhones and all that shit.
Right. No, yeah. I mean, it's just funny. Like, I know some neolibs like in real life that like are telling me like, they're regurgitating what CNN says. They're like, isn't it important that we get back in the world stage and rejoin with our allies and all this shit that Biden keeps saying over these platitudes. And you know what all that shit means is get back in the trade deals, get back into doing imperialism, being the world police. Like, that's what all that means. And
well, that's like, the thing. I'll talk to like normie friends I have, and like basically like their entire take that they've basically been taught on just free trade generally is just like, well, I just think that, working with other countries is a good idea. And like, you know what I mean? It's like, you don't even know what you're saying. You don't even know what you're saying.
They do jobs Americans won't do. I tried to get this American to pick fruit for 10 hours a day for $8 an hour, and he wouldn't do it. So these are jobs Americans won't do. We need to have our Mexican slaves. We need to have our H-1B people who are afraid to be sent back to their hometown that has no water, so they'll work 60-hour weeks. We need these people.
Don't you care about the poor starving immigrant that I'm paying $11 an hour to be to be a surrogate mother for my unborn child?
Slav, we can unionize them. We'll unionize them.
Stop! It hurts too much. It hurts too much. What's that?
All our friends in the DSA will go out there and unionize them.
Right.
Kind of like Marty was talking about in that article, how you're talking about once they do enough destruction in the cities, they'll be repurposed and sent off to other areas that they can do less damage in.
Oh, totally.
I saw this dude that's like a DSA leader on fucking Twitter. He's from Brooklyn or somewhere in New York. And like in his bio, is like recently moved to like heartland of America to do whatever the fuck. Like, just they're already shipping their fucking nonsense DSA shit out to like
everyone in that town fucking hates him.
Oh my god!
Sorry, which person was this?
I can't remember now.
Okay, I used to live in Seattle, and I went to like 3 DSA meetings before I was like, okay, you people are fucking nuts. I'm out. Peace. But like, I don't understand these people who are like, no, guys, we can bring the left back. They're just a little too overeager on the id poll. We can get them back. I'm like, have you been to any of these fucking meetings? These people are insane.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking useless. I remember I had DSA people come into a shop I used to work in. Excuse me, and like they would basically just hand out flyers for the meetings. That it seemed more like just an excuse to like hand out images of hammer and sickles than like anything. It was kind of a waste of time. It kind of just seemed like a good excuse to just like, I don't know, like maybe you pave over a pothole in your neighborhood and maybe explain resources for tenants, and then you think that you've seized the means of production or some kind of revolution.
You've done
social. Well, DSA Seattle kept being concerned that they didn't have those very white, and like we need to reach out to more Latino and Black people. And then you'd go to their meetings.
Well, Seattle, like, of course, is an incredibly white city,
but it's not as white as the DSA. And but then you go there and they're like, here's your pronoun badge, and I'm like, have you ever talked to like a working class Latino or Black person? Because they are not going to put up with this shit. The reason your politics are all this like fucking professional college shit. So it's not surprising that the composition of your organization is professional college people.
Right.
They say ain't rocket science.
Right. As far as I'm concerned, the primary thing they're accomplishing is making the guy who codes at Google and the guy who makes his coffee in the morning, convincing them that they're actually on the same page, which is far more harm than any fucking.
Well, they just want a change of the guard. Like they just want a better, more like on the nose, sympathetic managerial class, and they think that it's going to be them.
Yeah. No, what's I think going back to what we started with is the composition of the socialism class. They are at war with the people above them, and they're at war with the people below. Like this is a class coming to consciousness as a class, and they're pursuing their own interest. And I don't know. I'm tired of pretending it's anything else. I don't know about you guys, but I took the real black calm pill.
I don't know. I think you get used to it, spending a lot of time online. I think a lot of average normie people I know, you sit them down with like your boilerplate episode of Chapo, they're gonna wonder why the fuck they would want to listen to these fucking New York snobs in the first place. And I think that it's pretty fucking obvious to see if you're not actively drinking the Kool-Aid. But I don't know. At least for me, a lot of it was just, I don't know. I have my brother is fairly right wing, and he's probably the primary person I talk politics with IRL. And what seemed fairly obvious to him about Bernie 2020 was something I struggled with quite a lot. In retrospect, it just it seems fairly obvious. But I don't know. Shit's got to get worse before people can be dispelled of this complete. I don't know. Like the whole idea, this faction of the left that kind of like engages in like kind of old timey. We're gonna listen to Woody Guthrie tunes and put up posters of muscly guys with wrenches. It's like Tradcath, but that's for like the left.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely. It's and I think, and again, this is like a thing that I've talked about a good amount. Everybody is dealing with the nihilism of modernity right now, right? And I think that it doesn't get acknowledged a lot on the left, but I think that for lack of a better term, LARP is such a clear example of it. And they're coping, even though they're not aware of it. They're coping with that. I mean, it's just I don't know. They've got to learn at some point that it completely just doesn't measure up. Well, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to give them more credit than they deserve, but it's just completely unmarried from reality.
We must return to Woody Guthrie values.
Solidarity forever, folks.
Well,
Jesus Christ, fucking Tom Morello with his little fucking guitars with little platitudes written on them. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking Harvard alum cocksucker. It's so stupid, man. It's so fucking stupid.
It's very much alarming, especially considering like labor being like fairly dead or obsolete. Like, even the tradcast shit, like all that is the perfect comparison. That really is what it is as far as what I see, like right and left of like trying to LARP to an earlier time where that might have mattered. It's like it's too late for all that. Like,
and I think a big part of it too is just feeling some kind of footholds in in like identifying with American history also. Right.
Definitely.
I think that's really important.
Towards like the way that the left is already set up as being like completely anti-traditional,
exactly
American sentiment and stuff like that. People like will be like, oh well, actually, like I'm a Catholic leftist, so like I'm the one that's like rooted in this shit, and then they lean into it a little bit more. I think that's like maybe where the like base of it's coming from, as far as it being a popular movement now, like this tradcath thing. Not popular movement, but like I would have never known what the fuck tradcath was previous to like the past year or so, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I feel like the tradcaths are the most gullible to some of this shit, honestly.
How so?
I don't know. I've noticed a lot of these tradcaths were like very anti-Interpol, and then they lean into it the second that it shows up. I don't know. I just feel like there's no ideology behind it. It's sort of like a lifestyle brand. It's like it's like an Instagram feed, but with Jesus.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're not getting the Brunigs on now.
It's not even like really about Jesus. It's like the aesthetics of the Catholicism itself.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's an aesthetic thing. It is. That's why I said Instagram, but that's the cleaner way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's reacting to a lack of meaning.
Right.
It's like this phantom limb. You're reacting to it whether you acknowledge it or not. It's just that the tradcasts are people that are just like choosing a intentionally like garish personality that's kind of like ironically pretending as if it's not, right? Yep. Like, oh, I guess I just like wearing comfy sweaters and wholesome things in life, and I guess I just want some kids, like which obviously sweaters are outstanding and it's a good thing to have kids, but like
your kids in sweaters, hell
yeah, but like normal people don't build their personality around being normal. They're just busy being normal. It's
exactly.
It's complete.
It's contrary. It's contrary.
Yeah.
It's just being like, especially the leftists that take on this tradcath aesthetic is just like, you just saw that like, all right, this is the way to what's the direct opposite of postmodern bullshit? It's
like a post-irony, post-nihilism point of view. It's like, oh shit, I ran that all the way out through its logical end. Let's just start back in the beginning. I'm gonna be fucking Catholic now. Right?
Yeah, there's nothing there.
There's
nothing there. Yeah, there's nothing there. I mean, I don't know. I think the big thing is like trying to get a lot of this. I mean, especially the socialist left is just like a lot of it is just purely aesthetic, obviously, which is what we've been talking about in general. But like, I don't know how. There's got to be a way to get people to like what you said, Slav, like on another earlier episodes, like just reach for the bag of money. Like just how do you get people out of that mindset and just be like, yo, just want
the material knock people out of it.
I mean, I still think like the guy making the coffee in DSA is gonna maybe it'll be helpful when he gets completely fucked when the House of Cards in cities collapses in the next year or so here.
Oh yeah,
because like it might not matter to tech, but like I don't know. I've lived the last 4 years of my life in Seattle, and obviously I haven't hung out with a lot of tech bros. I've hung out with the members of the service class that again that steam their milk, and I don't know if at the very least they can get a nice smacking around and maybe get a valuable. I don't know. Who knows?
Seattle's the only place I've been to where like the coffee shop will like critique you for your I was in a coffee shop in no, not your order, like your language. I was in a coffee shop in Capitol Hill at one point.
First mistake. First
mistake. Like you go to the counter to order your coffee, and there's a sign there that says, "Please don't assume the gender pronouns of our baristas." And I'm like, I don't think I've ever referred to a barista in the third person in my life. Like, it was just weird. It's like, please ask our baristas about their pronouns. I'm like, I've never been criticized for ordering a coffee for something that I have never ever done.
I've never even used a pronoun towards a barista. It's just like, hey, can I have a coffee?
Right?
Like, hey, can she make me that coffee over there? What the fuck?
These are the people entrusted with the legacy of labor politics. Is people that can't even comprehend the dynamics between them an hourly wage slave and the customers that come in that don't give them a second thought.
Yeah, and they're making more steps for the worker too. Like, oh, now you gotta talk with them about what your fucking pronouns are. Like, that's something you want to do with every goddamn customer,
right?
Yeah. Do you guys remember that Starbucks shit where it was like, talk about racism with the customers? You remember that?
Yes.
You guys remember that? Like, yeah, you need to talk and try to engage about.
No idea about that.
The race discourse. No, there was something like Howard Schultz, whoever the fuck is the guy who runs. He almost ran for president.
Howard Schultz. Yeah.
He almost ran for president. He almost ran for a little bit, and he was just like, yeah.
I thought he did run for a little bit.
He floated it, and it was like a threat, like, oh, if you guys go with Bernie, I'm gonna come in independent and sweep that shit. Like, it was like
Bloomberg style.
Yeah, exactly. But he didn't follow through. It was just like in the news cycle for like a month or two or whatever. But like, there was some story where it was just like, yeah, he wants the Starbucks employees to talk to the customers about race. Like, hey, why don't you engage? Open the dialogue. Let's have a dialogue.
Yeah. Hey, $15 an hour wage slave.
Well, yeah.
How about you go talk to this
even
person
less
about
in
race?
most places.
Yeah. So now part of your job description is you need to talk to the people who come in about how they feel about Black people, and just ask them about Asians and other ethnicities. Anyways, no, you're not getting a raise this quarter. Bye.
Yeah, and it'll be like disproportionately minority white workers.
The raise was the anti-racist friends we made along the way.
Yeah. No, that's what's so funny. Is like it's disproportionately minority workers, and it's like these white people buying the coffee. It's like you don't see how this is kind of fucking weird. Like this is kind of like I don't know. How do you not see that? That's fucking cringe. Like,
well, you can feel their cringe
because you're a billionaire. So you're okay. That's why you don't see it.
Yeah. Right.
No, that was nightmarish. I remember that. That was some wokery shit. That like, yeah, that might come back. Who knows?
I also think that like in the age of COVID, like some of the bullshit propaganda we're seeing right now with like essential workers is something that I think is important to this as well. Of just like okay, so like I work retail right now, right? And basically,
thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. I'll be dropping my Venmo at the end of the episode, so y'all can thank me. Anyway, I can't even say that with a straight face. But this entire the rules and how we stay safe and all of that, it has essentially just fallen to like pimply faced 17-year-olds working at your grocery store, towing the line of what like the state and their managers have told them to do, which like first of all is a fucking retarded way of dealing with any of this, right? But of course like that's what we get in our fucking I mean that's America, baby. But and so I do think that like just this the amount of customers that I get that come in that don't see anything wrong with like engaging with me about political discussions and getting all my input on COVID and everything. And it's like,
weren't they asking you about the election? They were like, hey, it was 14 days left. Like that's what you said.
Oh yeah. And I'll never tell them I voted for Trump ever. But
no, don't do that.
100%. That's a great way to. Well, anyways, I won't even go down that rabbit hole. Knock on wood. But No, I think that my point is that right now I think that like there's this overdrive being done to normalize like politicizing, and not in a good way, politicizing like minimum wage service workers.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
it's like glorifying them. It's like you see the same rhetoric with like I've been seeing commercials a lot that say shit like obviously essential workers, but then like frontline workers, and then like first responders and shit. Like they're just like, let's just figure out some new words that we can say to where we can like make these people like we're gonna prop it up and act like we need to like thank and give these people everything while in the background we're actually not doing anything, so it looks like we are gonna be doing shit for them.
Yeah, exactly. And that of course like comes back to like, of course, I guess in a way I would like for low wage workers to be politicized, right? But not in this kind of like golden cow ideological.
Ideally, not politicized by as like an out group by some other like bourgeois politician that's going to use them as a fucking pawn, but like or politicize themselves,
or basically like politicized as almost kind of like a parental figure to this middle management class that relies on us doing the work for them. It's just deranged. It's just deranged. Excuse me. but yeah, like I think that all of this, you know, let's talk about race today with the $11 an hour barista, and you know, go ahead and clap for the guy working on the counter at CVS. Well, actually, CVS is the same.
I just love the idea that like this up to the low wage workers to talk to Karen about race. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Right, like I don't want to talk to that bitch at all. Like leave me alone.
I've got plenty to do, and I've paid like not nearly enough. I'm not talking to anyone about shit.
Yeah, that's got to be an organic, real conversation, right? If you're taking orders from someone that you have to like smile to and pretend to be nice to, right? That's got to be an organic, real conversation that's really going to cut to the heart of the issues, right? It has to be, right? That's the perfect conditions for that. Like,
well, and it's a perfect way to side skate, like just veer around the asymmetric nature of that relationship, right? I don't want to talk to you about my politics at work because if I say the wrong thing, you can potentially get me fucking fired, and I can't pay to live where I live. Right?
Yeah, welcome to the FEMA camps, you and me.
right. I'm just a fucking trash Mayo boy living in the FEMA camp because I said the wrong
another number in their data when they go to check the homeless population.
Look, I probably shouldn't talk about this, but like, you know, when I'm in Brooklyn, right? I'm in libtard Mecca. I'm in Radlib Mecca. And you know what I mean? You go to fucking like the bars here, whatever, and there'll be like some posters like Black Trans Lives Matter. I'd be like, oh, this establishment supports Black trans lives. Be like, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck? I mean, I'll delete this if we need to, but like, what the fuck are you talking? You're talking about a small ass, token ass percentage of the population. Like, what are you talking? Why is that up here? What does that mean?
Killa, I think I called this on Twitter before it happened, but I was like, Black Lives Matter is very exclusionary towards Black trans lives. And then like a couple weeks later in fucking Brooklyn, there was a march for Black trans lives. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect, but it doesn't include disabled people. So I need the pie to get smaller and smaller.
Right. Well, this shit wasn't far from where I am. It's horrible. It's not that far from where I'm at. So I didn't go in that. I walked the opposite direction. I'm like, I don't want to be anywhere near that shit.
It's so clearly like a fad, right? Because it's like, oh, Black Lives Matter, that was yesterday's t-shirt. I'm onto this new thing. You've never even heard of it. They're Black trans lives.
Right.
I'm on Tinder, and it's like you can put options like of what your interests are, and one of them is Black Lives Matter. It's like one of the like sticker, this is what I'm interested in things that's like books, movies. One of them is just fucking Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
What even is that? Like, what is that even? Yeah, I'm interested in Black Lives Matter. Sure. Like, what the fuck?
No, yeah.
It's like Kramer. You gotta wear the ribbon. Wear the ribbon, Kramer.
Yeah, I think this goes to like the whole left, like the vapidness of the left, where like they obviously have no convictions, is like everything being aesthetic, obviously, but like even the right too, like even Spencer fucking supporting Biden and making like white nationalism like an aesthetic thing. It's just.
I love that he had to support Biden because he's like, Trump is making my white nationalist thing look incompetent.
Is that why? Yeah, nice.
Well, he claimed it was because he needed someone competent in there. and Trump was just too incompetent. I'm like, I don't know if if like a white nationalist saying Trump is not competent to implement my schemes. Like, I don't know if that's a bad thing.
Well, he also made just like, it was like the West Wing lib argument, right? Of being
exactly.
Well, we're supposed to be the shining city on the hill, and I don't like my girlfriend's family sent this video in like their family group chat of like comparing Trump talking about killing someone in a strategic strike versus Obama making a statement about the same thing.
And Obama really cared.
No, exactly. It's like Obama really knew how to be professional about state-sanctioned murders.
When he killed Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki, he felt it in his soul. It's like, that was a 13-year-old that I just authorized to be killed. Whereas Trump just kills a 13-year-old without a second thought. Oh my God, we can't have that.
It's not who you killed. It's how you said it.
It's how you do it. Yeah. The decorum shit, civility. That's all they talk about. Every argument I've heard against Trump has been decorum, civility. People IRL, that's all they tell me. It's like, he said this, he said that. I don't give a fuck what he said. I give a fuck what he did. He got out of the TPP. He hasn't started any new wars. He passed those executive orders that gave COVID relief. That's all I care about. I don't give a fuck what he said.
All that shit's a consequence of like the way that we get all of our information now, like the social media and like the technology empire and how they're kind of stood up against Trump. Is that all those things, him saying like bad hombres or whatever the fuck, are great sound bites, and like it's great clickbait. It's a great 3-second video you can put on a tweet for now this and say, can you believe Trump said this shit? They can't make a soundbite that says like, oh, Trump didn't sign the TPP today, which means we're going to actually have better trade deals going forward. Like it's shit that sells easier. And so like when you get someone that has bad decorum, that's the only thing they're going to be able to like click into, because that's the only thing that anyone has any fucking tolerance for now or patience for, because social media is and like technology has fucked us to such a complete extent.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't know how to walk that shit back or go through it to something better. Like that's the stuff that really scares me, is the control of social media over our information flow, and especially over manipulating our emotions. Because a lot of this shit is emotional appeals. Like the babies in cages. Of course, babies in cages is bad. Like, do you remember when that came out? A bunch of those photos were from the Obama era. Yeah. But it really felt like something Trump would do. Oh God, AOC is the worst. Yeah, she like goes and cries on cue in front of his fans. Like all of these things are there to manipulate your emotions.
Oh yeah,
and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Coney 2012. Not to go back to that fateful year, but Coney 2012 was the first one of that. It was the first like social media kind of generating this like, wow, child rebel soldiers. Isn't that fucked up? Don't you think that? I was in college in the dorm, like freshman year in the dorm, and people being like, oh, isn't that fucked up? I'm like, you didn't know this shit was going on? Not to be smug or whatever, but like you didn't know this shit was like, you're outraged. What is that? But yeah, I think that's one of the first ones. Was just ginning up this whole like, and obviously it was just a PR thing. It was just
yet another neoliberal victory. We since we never fucking got them.
Well, and this is like, and it's the same. It's the same fucking thing over and over again. It's sanctimonious internet culture, Coney to Harambe to all of this fucking shit.
No. I unironically support Harambe.
Yeah. You crossed the line right there, Slav. Hold on.
God, I'm sorry, guys. I still miss him every day. Don't think I don't. But I had a friend who voted for Harambe in 2016, and I honestly, it's like the same thing as Big Chungus. You can make fun of it. You can say it's dumb. I genuinely think it's a funny joke still. But when I'm not, broken up about the loss of Harambe, that is. But no, it's this. Right. It's the same fucking dynamic. It's just like it's the left occupies sanctimonious heavy-handedness online, and then the right gets to just kind of subvert that, and that's
it's still all bullshit. Yeah, it's still all bullshit.
We're just spinning our wheels.
Yeah, I don't want to keep harping on this Spencer thing, but I have a friend that I know personally in real life that since college that's kind of like pretty far right wing, and he had met Spencer in real life before he had been famous, like off some like forums or whatever. He had met him in real life. His girlfriend's Asian, you know what I mean? And he talked to him and he's just like, he doesn't seem really serious about this shit. Like he could just tell just talking to him, like he's not really serious about this shit.
I mean, look at his hair. It's all aesthetics. It's all to like be edgy. He should just like learn to play shitty guitar and like leave the rest of the fucking world alone.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. He should find one of these girls into like interior design and start some fucking bullshit Netflix show, because that was his other fucking career path probably. Yeah, it's a fucking joke.
Yeah, he disappointed the white nationalists. I mean, Trump disappointed the white nationalists. Like if you're really about that shit, he's obviously been a disappointment. I just feel like what's it, you know, what's it gonna take for people to just be like, you know, maybe I don't care about this shit, this performative shit. Like what can I really get in my pockets right now? What's it gonna take for that type of shift? Like I feel like that's the change that needs to happen.
I think a lot of underclass people are already at that point. Like I think that like this like white nationalist tendency and whatever else is obviously overplayed in the media. It's like where I don't think that there's that many people that are clinging to like that type of notion. Like, oh well, I'm gonna vote for white nationalism over worker protection.
I mean, I think what you really have to do is, because American politics is not generally grassroots up. Like you do have to have some kind of defection inside of the class that can run for office. I think you have to have some kind of political movement that is like, we are going to take shit from this bloated managerial class.
Yeah.
We're just going to take it from them and we're going to invest it in a higher minimum wage. And like, you have to really directly appeal to folks' material interests. Because even Trump, like, what did he actually offer the lower class that voted for him? Like, some nice words, but he didn't actually, like, he didn't raise wages. Like, all of that shit about bringing stuff back to Ohio, all he did is he took his foot off the accelerator. He didn't actually reindustrialize any of these regions. He's just like, yeah, you know, I'll own the libs. You can keep voting for me and owning the people that you hate. And, you know, I guess for a lot of people, that's better than a kick in the teeth. It's better than joining the TPP. But it isn't yet really a positive case for anything.
I mean, he extended the eviction freezes throughout the end of the year, which, you know, isn't that much. And the student loan
kept me on unemployment, which is nice.
Yeah, the UI extended all that. I mean, that's not that much, but I mean, it is something. And he also was like, you know, he walked away from the COVID negotiation gridlock talks and was like, I want a $1,200 check, just straight, no pork. And McConnell and Pelosi were both against it. So, I mean, I agree. Like, he's not really, again, no one can really argue that Trump is like a working class hero, but like, I don't know. I feel like there were tangible things to point to that he was better on, which I think we all agree on.
The easiest way to explain it is just that Trump represents the interest more so of the national bourgeoisie rather than the international. And so the national bourgeoisie's like interests are tangibly aligned with the working class in this nation right now, because they would be more in favor of protectionism, better trade agreements, et cetera, et cetera. Yes. So at the time and for the moment, it was more in line that way.
That is the clip that you should start this with, because that is the best short explanation of what's going on that I've heard in a while.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think how you put it, Marty, of just like there's no positive case for Trump in that way. Like, I think that's a fairly good way of framing it. Also, just when people kind of hand wave away looking at Trump in any serious way by just being like, oh, well, he's just a fake populist. Oh, he's just a fake populist. That's it. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, but again, it's not an active kick in the teeth. And if same thing with the you know, people being like, oh, well, if the best case you have is not starting any new wars, then that's pretty pathetic. And it's like, no one is saying that this is the ideal metric, but
you can vote. Biden's just gonna not put so many people in cages. How is that any different than not starting any new wars?
I tweeted this a while ago, but I think part of this has been a gambit on the media, which seems to have paid off, which is, look, we have made all of you upper class or managerial types who can spend all this time reading the news. We are going to make your life a miserable anxiety hell all of the time. And you can make this go away if you vote the way we want.
Right. Obama pretty much just saying that, black and white, just like,
he actually said, don't you want to not have an argument with your friends?
Yeah, he's like, we'll stop the PSYOP machine if you just do it, if you succumb to our will. Like, we'll stop the PSYOP machine.
Right. Listen, folks,
he just says it.
You won't need to think about me. You won't need to think about us. It's pathetic. And like it's like the last 4 years has been all of our parents becoming addicted to watching cable news. And now the last several months has just been taking away anything they can do outside of that.
Exactly. And making them do their jobs through the computer that's going to bring them that news on a fucking alert in the corner.
Oh, guys, the Zoom life is killing me. I fucking hate it. This lib pandemic. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah, I told my coworkers, don't Zoom me. I'm done with that shit. I don't want to Zoom anymore. You can phone call me, and if not, we can meet at a cafe or whatever. But I'm not Zooming anymore.
COH, that's how the virus spreads. The virus wants you to see people. You need to not see people. Only get information mediated to you by a screen and by a computer.
Right. I mean, look,
it's the future.
All I'll say is that you could have voted for Trump in your material interest. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to say anything more, extrapolating than that. Just like you could be voting in your material interest and vote for Trump. And, in Florida, they were voting for 15 minimum wage plus voting for Trump. That was a big headline.
And that's such a shocker for the libs.
They were so confused. Like, how is that fucking possible? How could you do that?
Whereas California voted to have contract forever for Uber drivers and vote for Biden. People need to wrap their heads around. People need to wrap their heads around the Democrats being the party of capital and of increased precarity for workers. That is what the Democrat Party is now. Exactly.
Wasn't Kamala's was the story that her husband or somebody she fucked or a brother or an uncle
her
was
daughter-in-law
is tied to the
Uber and does policy work for Uber and advocacy.
Right there in your face. I mean, what else do you need to see? What else do you need to see? It's right there. Right. I mean, it's amazing.
Killa, we can push them left. We can talk about this when there isn't a fascist in the White House.
The Koch brothers released their goals for the next 4 years with the incoming new president, and they were like, well, we think we can align on these issues, and it was trade, immigration, and something else. And it's like, Biden's ready to go left.
Remember when Bernie it was on that Vox video, and they're like, how do you feel about open borders? And he's like, that's a Koch brothers proposition. And then he needed to complete. Didn't he almost entirely walk that back? This past year? Yeah, pathetic, fucking pathetic. And this is honestly, in retrospect, maybe this is a bit of a segue, but in retrospect, with how Corbyn conducted himself, with how Sanders has conducted himself, honestly, I don't think either of these guys ever should have been in serious leadership positions to begin with. When someone accuses you of rampant anti-Semitism and your entire party hangs you out to dry, you're gonna fucking apologize.
Yeah, they booted him. They booted his ass out. They booted Corbyn's ass out. He's gone now. It's
that's fucking pathetic.
You're a cuck. You're a cuck.
You're clearly Corbyn needs to go his own way. He needs to be a man going his own way. He needs to take the red pill. He needs to clean his fucking room. He needs to sack up. No, but really though, it's fucking pathetic. And I don't know. The guys, people out living in rural counties and everything. We need to paint their the antagonism that they represent. It needs to be rot of the soul and purely ideological. Because it's patently ridiculous to make the case that they're the ones subsisting on this great amount of exploitation, right? They're clearly the ones getting every meal shipped to them through Uber Eats and leading people on with a carrot on a string of you'll be able to have free movement through the United States at half of what your labor's worth if you come work for my office and all that shit like that. I mean, they clearly cannot be accused of these much more meaningful problems, and so of course it's all just reduced to they just haven't really been socialized properly for this company.
Yeah, they don't talk right.
Yeah, they just don't talk right.
No, I remember.
Never mind the fact that it's honestly it's kind of the equivalent of the kind of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation kind of shit of being well, we're not going to deal with the fact that jet setters are worth hundreds and hundreds of the carbon footprint of a small African child. We need to really make sure that people in Africa aren't busting in each other so that we can just keep those numbers. You get what I'm saying?
And we gotta make new vaccines that we can control the population with even better. With this new COVID vaccine from, you've guessed it,
Bill Gates.
Right.
No, just remember like 90s videos of like, them talking about NAFTA and like Clinton people just being like, oh, you're all going to benefit from this. You're all going to
you'll just learn to code. Those jobs are going away, but you'll learn to code. And once you learn to code, then the immigrant slaves will bus your food to your door that you aren't going to leave because you're wearing a mask.
You guys saw Rahm Emanuel talking about coding? He's like, you guys, we need to teach them how to code. Rahm Emanuel was saying that. There's a video of him saying this.
I mean, the thing is, the coders are still dependent on this laboring class to do all the real work for them. So really what it is just like, no, guys, it's okay. We'll just exploit the immigrants. We'll exploit these other people.
Right.
And
that drives a lot of like anxiety, especially for that class specifically, is that like in the back of their mind, they're alienated from their labor. They have no tangible product. And so they know that like what they're doing and how they live in society is not sustainable. And it's like parasitic. And I think that they grapple with that in the sense of like, not, oh, I'm a parasite, but oh, my prospects for future employment look like they may be going down. And so that's like where we get this cultural revolution thing from.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, look at like a lot, if you work in coding, it more and more, coming down the pipeline, like you're going to be competing with just like, some virtual assistant in, fucking the Philippines or something who's being paid, a third of what you are. And a lot of this stuff is still gonna be gig based because everyone and their fucking mother in a lot of places is learning to code in the first place. And so like even if you do buy into this bullshit, like can't even really like ensure much of a good quality of life down this path. I mean, I don't know. I know some people that do this work and like it's not fun.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's
bugman shit.
Well, it's 100% bugman shit, and it's not strong. It's not a strong arm of the fucking labor market.
I mean, I'm downwardly mobile PMC. Like I'm from that. Like my parents aren't from that, but like I am, and like you don't want this shit to happen. Like think long term. If you're in that group, like you don't want this shit we're fucked in the long term if it keeps going this way. Like eventually you're gonna end up as consolidation keeps going and is accelerating exponentially. You're gonna end up fucked with the rest of them. So like, what don't you see? Like I just don't get how you don't see that you're doomed to that fate, and you might as well fucking.
Which is why you have to have
back against it.
You have to have strong tariffs. You have to have like I'm not even joking here. Like you have to have like a regime that walks back a lot of this international trade shit. Yeah. Like the real technology that is fucking all of us is logistics. Because now suddenly like the cost of moving shit from the Indonesian slave to the New York pantry is really low.
Yep.
And that means that now you are competing, like not to get all Tom Friedman, the world is flat. I was talking to a taxi driver. But now like there really is a kind of race to the bottom thing.
Oh yeah.
And you didn't see it if you were in the PMC until recently. But this shit is just going to keep accelerating.
Yeah. And so more and more of these urban hubs will just pass a $15 minimum wage, and they'll think that solved the problem for a little bit.
Right.
You know, we're
kicking
already
the can.
Yeah. Exactly. All of these fucking coders that can't compete with dudes in India doing a hustle on Fiverr are gonna start
they'll start gigging, and they'll get a service economy job or a gig economy job, which still doesn't actually make or manufacture anything that's tangible. And then we'll have an entire fucking country where it doesn't know how to do anything, doesn't know how to grow anything, doesn't know how to make anything, that just types fucking shit into a computer or pours food for people, like pours lattes, and then we ship all of our actual manufacturing and actual like real production jobs out of the country because transportation's cheap as fuck now. Like I work in urban agriculture, so I see that on a daily basis, like how it's cheaper to ship in shitloads of stuff from across the world than grow it right in the backyard of most of these places.
Oh, but COH, they're going to save the environment.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And COH, you are like, you're kind of on the money on that. Like, this really is the future that liberals want, is to have everything shipped out so that America doesn't produce anything. And that is a place of real national weakness.
Oh yeah. It'll make it impossible to be like strong, independent on our own. Like if it ever does come into a point where like, oh, the workers can seize the means of production, there's no means of production here to fucking seize. So if they can ship it all overseas, they make it so that's not even a possibility. Like if we had to undergo some sort of industrialization process like they did in China China and other places when like there was a revolution. Like that's what would have to happen here because we're so fucking depleted of any type of manufacturing or production job at all.
Right. We have
to get the industrial capacity back in the US. And this is like my patriotic side. Like I want a strong America, not because I want to invade fucking Iraq or any other bullshit, but because I want my countrymen to be in a society that is nice, that is good for them. And that means that we have to have manufacturing. And that means that we have to have all of these policies that prevent shit from being shipped overseas in order to enrich our fucking parasite vampire class of Bezoses and Gateses and Tim Cookses. And I don't know how to build a political program around that, but I really want to. And if these fucking bugmen socialists are in my way, I don't give a shit.
Well, we talked a bit with
I don't care.
We talked a bit with Sadak on our nationalism episode, not specifically about nationalism, but how one tactic he thought of was being able to tap into that patriotism that you just mentioned, where it's like, I just want to have a good, safe, healthy economy and country for my countrymen and my neighbors, and use that to paint those parasitic class of like Bill Gates and others as unpatriotic because they are actively destroying that.
Right, it's traitors. Yeah.
So I mean, that right there seems like an inroad that has great potential.
Sounds like a Tucker pill to me.
Yeah.
It's.
I'll be the first American patriot communist. Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go. I'll tell you one way to not move in the right direction, which is, to run a fucking Uber bug man, just talking about a $1,000 a month UBI because don't you know all of this stuff is this is all just flights of fancy anyways, because Skynet is gonna invalidate all the stuff we're talking about in the first place. So the best thing we can do is just give people money, and they got a little pocket change to buy the Funko Pop, go see the Rise of Skywalker. That's all you need.
Oh yeah, the new trilogy.
Yeah,
all of this UBI shit. Like I think we got to stand somewhat against it. Like it's not a bad idea on its face,
absolutely.
But like if you don't have control or ownership of capital in some way, then you don't have ownership of shit. That's all going to get hoovered up into rent.
Yep.
Like prices are going to go up. That is going to do fuck all for you.
Well, yeah,
fuck UBI. Give me ownership over the company that I work in.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I find $15 minimum wage reparations, UBI, I find them all to be subsidies to these price gouging fucking ghouls in our economy is because, you need to control the cost of living. You need to control the fact that these necessities of life are overpriced every day because they're inelastic goods and they can charge whatever the fuck they want and make insane amounts of profit margins. Like, you need to control that. Otherwise, the money you pump in is just subsidizing.
That's not even to mention the fact that UBI payment and all the purchases you make with that UBI payment will be taxed at 20% rates or whatever. Sales tax will be lower, but your income rate will be high. And then they won't. Yeah, exactly. And then they won't tax the corporations that you're paying with that fucking income. So it shifts the tax burden further onto the working class too, which is just what's been happening over the past like 4 decades anyways.
Right. Yang wanted the VAT tax. I mean, to be fair, like UBI has there's multiple ways of doing it. That was his way, which is obviously fucking libertarian bullshit. So I cut out?
Yeah. Repeat that one part.
No. The VAT tax that Yang was talking about is obviously fucking libertarian fucking bullshit. Like, have I been cutting out?
No. That last bit was good. I think the thing that I am concerned about with Yang right now is just especially just in a lot of like the post-election discussion, the only person allowed into these stupid fucking mind-numbing panel shows where a lot of people are getting their information. The only person allowed into these fucking discussions who's talking at all about, the takeaways of, the class terrain, what the lessons to be learned from this past election. The only person talking about that is Yang, right?
Wonder why that is.
No, exactly. And so it's a way. I mean, he's simply a strategy to just absorb challenging narratives for them. And what he does is he just says, exactly. Oh well, forward moving progress. We can't hope for too much because you're going to be replaced by a robot anyway. So it's probably best to abandon it. I mean, we're not ignoring the issue. We're just saying that we're just saying that all of your proposed solutions are completely unrealistic. And
exactly.
The Yang Gang was just a focus group for UBI.
Exactly. Absolutely. We'll give you $5 and you can just go fuck yourself. Get out of here.
Well, again, like low barrier, like industrialization in the country, right? That low barrier to entry, right? Like you need low skilled, you need an avenue for low skilled people to get work without Rahm Emanuel telling you, oh, you need to learn to code or whatever. You need some avenue. And since industrialization has been outsourced, it's been like the retail service economy here. Yeah. But with COVID, they got, that was already on the way out because e-commerce is taking over, right? So they're already making that transition, and COVID just fucking conveniently, I don't want to get into that, but conveniently cut that shit out and basically was like, oh yeah, these industries are already on the way out there. Yeah, we're gutting a lot of them already, like the small businesses and like retail and service. Like, so, the avenues that you have are getting narrower and narrower and narrower, and there's not much left. And
gig economy.
And that too, gutting the gig economy even further than it already is gutted, which is insane, is already insanely atomized and gutted. But like, again, I think UBI will be necessary at some point, because I don't think there's a way to reverse these trends, but I think it needs to be on top of, decommodifying a lot of these necessities. I think that's the only way for it to really work. But obviously that's not where the conversation is.
I think that in any scheme that just accepts the deindustrialization is a scheme that accepts like decreased quality of life for Americans. Like, I think you really just have to fight this. You have to fight for producing goods from low skill workers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it treats
product pilled.
It treats all of it treats everything as just a foregone conclusion. I mean, you're neutering yourself of bargaining power and just acting like these issues are completely settled.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think they are, to be fair. I think they are. But again, yeah, I mean, I think we all agree, like, certain necessities should not be fucking up for, price gouge profit margins, right? Like,
for sure.
I think that's the thing that we, is the focus, right? And I think that would remedy a lot of these issues. But
that's what really threatens capital. So, I mean, they can't allow that at all.
Well, then that's what we should demand. If that's the most threatening thing and the most unrealistic thing, then that's what should be demanded. If you want to talk about negotiation, like, that's what should be asked for. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to, I don't know, stay in this romanticized vision of like industrialization and unions and all this shit that's already dead. Like, you know what I mean? At some point you have to acknowledge, like, this is the reality. This is where we're at now. And we need something to, it's not a cope. You know what I mean? UBI without anything decommodified, without any basic universal programs, is a cope.
Yeah, no, but you can't drop the call to like reindustrialize. Like, you need to, I guess, you like making peace with the fact that we're on a track that is leading towards vast deindustrialization of the United States and like major flight of capital towards other countries is something that we should understand in our theory and in our practice, and then make our politics reflect that, which would be where we would say, no, we still need to push for reindustrialization, manufacturing, infrastructure jobs, like, because that's actually what will be needed to fix the economy and like be able to start taking steps in the right direction to right the track, while understanding that we're on a train that's headed in a direction that under the current power relations is not going to do that. So we need to take it in our hands in order to do that. And like, while we're stuck on this track of heading in one direction, we should make sure that we get any possible benefits for the working class that we can, but keeping in mind that we need to have a broader solution.
Correct.
I know.
Before we get any further, Marty, are you good for time right now?
I need to head out. I've been meaning to say I need to head out pretty soon here.
Okay,
so we can probably wrap up.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt or anything. I just wanted to be sensitive to that.
No, we can just wrap up now. I mean, I think we got all the core shit. This is all extra, pretty much, like what we're talking about now.
Well, I mean, I do want to say, like, however black-pilled I am about a whole lot of shit, seeing folks like y'all and there's a couple of other people on Twitter and folks who have like working class politics that is trying to cohere into something reasonable and new, like, that gives me a little bit of hope, because I think there is, like, from various places on the political spectrum, a realization that there's something rotten in the way that the American managerial class is working, and a need to center workers. This isn't in the traditional left. Edwin cursed us all with the term post-left, which I reject. But it is encouraging seeing quite a few people come around to trying to develop this new kind of politics. politics.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the beginning sparks of hopefully a stronger class consciousness and broader coalition. That's what I look at it as, hopefully.
Yeah, what else are we going to do? We need to, like, I mean, there's not many options now. It's just like,
how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, baby.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that the mainstream island, that a lot of these, I don't know, this consensus that we want to desperately reject. I mean, it very clearly is operating on borrowed time. And so I do think, I don't know, I get accused a lot of the time by friends of like being a pessimist. But I really don't even see it that way, because I do think that, just the way these diminishing returns are going and everything, like, I mean, election night itself, I felt like we were vindicated pretty well in how we had been framing this entire election. And I think that's going to continue to happen. And so I think that there is a reason to be optimistic 100%.
You're going to get sick of winning, folks. You're going to win so much, you're going to be sick of it.
Yeah, inshallah, hopefully.
Well, thanks for coming on, Marty.
Yeah, no worries. Glad to be here.
Yeah, much appreciated, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, and here before you head out, why don't you I mean, if you have anything you want to plug or even just drop your at.
I don't got anything to plug. What even is my at? I think it's Marty MacMarty.
It's Marty MacMarty. The number one Kamala fan on Twitter.
And we discussed this article in the Bellows, which is the new cultural revolution. That's what we were going on about earlier.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to tag that.
Yeah, I can make it my pinned tweet or something if folks wander over.
Yeah, not a bad call. Doing that brand work. Gotta do brand work.
Oh man, I feel like Survivor on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter to make friends. I got on Twitter to blow off steam, and that's still how I treat it.
I mean, I'm on Twitter because I'm addicted to social media, but exactly, not taking it too seriously.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
All right.